Thomasville Landmarks is one of the oldest historic preservation organizations in the state. Thomasville Landmarks was started in 1964, just a mere generation after the first historic preservation organization in Georgia. And Landmarks has had such an incredible impact on Thomasville.
Landmarks has been the primary advocate to ensure that the sense of place that we know as Thomasville has been retained, that it's preserved, that it's promoted.
Landmarks was incorporated in 1966, and in that same year, Landmarks saved the iconic brick road of Broad Street and the unforgettable Big Oak. Landmarks continued to go on preserving Thomasville's historic buildings, saving multiple homes in the Toccowanton district from being demolished for a strip mall. In 1980, Landmarks saved and restored the Hardy Bryan House, which had been built in 1833, and now it's used as the home of their offices. Later in 1997, the Community Preservation Program, now recognized as Operation CARE, began. And in the very next year, the plans for the revitalization of the Warren Love Place were set into motion. 4 years later, in 2008, collective planning began for the Victoria Park urban redevelopment area.
Okay, Operation CARE is a program that Landmarks started probably 20 years ago, but it's a community-based program, and what precipitated the program was there were quite a few houses in town, historic houses, that needed some maintenance work, and we were just trying to figure out how to set up a program that could provide maintenance for owners of historic houses. And we've been very fortunate. We've had several foundations, local foundations, underwrite this program since the beginning, and it's been very successful. We usually try to help it. In some years, we've had 4 houses that we have been involved with per year. But the main rules or regulations are for the program are the house has to be historic, and it has to be owner-occupied. And we ask people in the community to turn in applications for this program, and then there's a selection process based on what type of work needs to be done and the architectural merits of the house. So once the houses are selected, we have a community program that goes in. We'll do a lot of, we identify the work that we will be able to do as exterior maintenance, and we go in and start the work right away, and then we have several community work days to kind of finalize the projects. And these projects are usually over a weekend on a Saturday and Sunday, and we have lunch brought in, and there are 50 to 60 volunteers working on these houses, for 1 weekend, sometimes 2 weekends. And it's a great program because it allows owners of historic houses to have work that they probably would not be able to afford done, and the work is just such a great thing for them to get the house back into good condition, and it fosters a lot of pride in their property and pride in the neighborhood. So it's just a great community-based program that combines historic preservation with other community goals. Thomasville is blessed with lots of historic properties that are significant, and if they were lost, the character of our town would be diminished. So as these properties, certain properties for whatever circumstance, lack of maintenance, development pressure, owners wanting to do other things with the property, but certain properties become endangered either for demolition or having to be torn down because they're in such poor condition. So the Revolving Fund is really set up a program to provide assistance for properties that are endangered and would otherwise be lost. As these properties come available in town or in the county, we have a program that will buy the properties and then do stabilization or some minor rehab. Sometimes we've totally rehabbed the property, and then we put the properties back on the market to be resold to a private individual. It's been a great program, and there's so many buildings in town that have benefited from the Revolving Fund property. Some people call it an endangered properties fund also. But it's been a highly successful program, and we've kept buildings in town that otherwise would have been lost. And right now we have about 6 properties in our Revolving Fund that are on the market. And once we find a buyer for the property, one of the most important things that Landmarks does is they attach what are called protective covenants to the deed of the property. And that basically protects the property for future generations by having stipulated that the owner, if they want to change the exterior appearance of the building in any way, those changes need to be brought before Thomasville Landmarks for approval. And more importantly, it prevents the demolition of the property in the future. So there's several different aspects of this program, but the main thing is to preserve properties in town that otherwise would be lost.
Landmarks is the primary advocate and watchguard for the historic resources in Thomas County. Without Landmarks, a lot of the character that we perceive as Thomasville and into the county would not be here today. The brick streets, the Main Street program, that's a program of the city, was actually founded by Landmarks as a program of the National Trust for Historic Preservation. The numerous local historic districts and neighborhoods that are protected, it was at the advocacy of Landmarks that those areas were created as National Register districts and then local districts. And so the impact that people often don't remember is that what you think of Thomasville and why we are a unique town for a town of 18,000 is largely due to the work and the efforts and the voice and the leadership of Landmarks and its members over the course of 50 years.
Historic preservation really provides an economic base for our town. People come to Thomasville because of our historic downtown and our historic houses. It provides an authentic, character-based experience for people that live here and people that visit here. And really a lot of what we are enjoying today is because of Thomasville Landmarks, starting the work in the 1960s, putting in historic districts in our town, working with the city of Thomasville to establish the Main Street program in our downtown area, which is one of the oldest and most successful Main Street programs in the country.
Landmarks is excited that we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary. We are indebted to the efforts of those that came before us, the members, the leadership, the board. I'm indebted to the work of prior executive directors. We're excited as we continue to grow, we continue to expand and look at different opportunities for us to develop new programming so that our impact continues to be felt in Thomasville and Thomas County, and that we're still considered a leader in historic preservation in the state of Georgia as well as the nation.